Okay. All right, brothers and sisters. Every now and then, demons jump through technology. So, we're going to deal with this lesson based on preparedness. But it's one of those lessons where for you to understand what's coming, you have had to understood what had happened already. So we're going to go right into the commentary and then through the scriptures. Okay, so the title of today's lesson is Casting Out Serpents, Are We Prepared? Okay, so in a world where sin reigns supreme and the multitudes are compromised, we have been called to task to be able to battle in the spirit against the unseen powers that control our world. Are we preparing? That's a good question. Are we really preparing to engage the battle of what we can't see? Okay. Our views of survival in line with those views of desperation that Christ and the prophets of the past had while doing this ministry, is it possible that we are so conditioned to sin and the mentalities of this world that we have rendered ourselves powerless against the demons that walk amongst us? Are we even paying attention anymore if we're met by demons, or are we prepared to cast them out? They're manifesting themselves all over the earth, and the war started long ago. So that we're still under, and it says that we are still under and how to get away from it. We will also address how we can cast out demons with the authority in our own lives as well as the lives of others, if met by what they call today paranormal activity. So let's go to Genesis 6:1. We're going to go back to the beginning, right? Come on.
Genesis 6:1. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they choose.
Exactly. So we all know the false doctrines that are out there. These are the sons of Cain. This is this and that. But understand, okay, these sons of God were the angels that originally were in heaven. They saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and bore children. Right? Come on. You're still in Genesis chapter 6, verse 2. Come on.
That the sons of the Most High saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose.
Read.
And the Most High said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh.
For he also is flesh. Okay, so understand that this man or these men that you were speaking of was really these angels and the offspring that come from them. My spirit shall not always strive with men, for he is also, see that, also flesh. Why? Because initially they were just spirit. So now it's telling you that now this man or these men of what we're talking about, they're now also flesh. So now this is when the spirit world meet the world of the natural flesh, and they bear giants, right? Come on.
And the Most High said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years.
And we understand what that calculation come from. That's from the Jubilee cycle. That's another lesson for another time. But read verse 4. Come on.
There were giants in the earth in those days.
Come on.
And also after that, when the sons of the Most High came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown.
So everybody knew who the giants were. They were mighty men, men of renown. Okay, so many history books detail stories of giants and, centaurs and minotaurs and all the things that happened in the time of Enoch, in the time of the sons of God dealing with the daughters of men, in these times. So these were men of renown. Okay, read.
And the Most High saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imaginations of thoughts of his hearts was only evil continually.
So this is what the condition was. When those deviant spirits dealt with flesh, their mindset was evil continually. That's all that they sought out to do, was to destroy mankind. Okay? And we're going to get some understanding of why they did that. But their main objective was to just destroy mankind, of whom they came from. Okay? Read.
Genesis 6:6. And it repented the Most High that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Most High said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I made them.
Now, notice that nothing wasn't subject to the destruction. So he said, look, I'm going to destroy man, the beast, and the fowls of the air. Why? Because at that time, everything was tainted. Everything was tampered with. Everything was experimented with. So that beings, those beings that came out of those, deviant acts, were things that had to be destroyed. Similar to how you see, the dinosaurs and this and that. Well, those were nothing but hybrid beings and creations of these Nephilim and giants and offspring of these fallen angels, right? So they had to be destroyed. Come on.
But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Most High. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generation.
Imperfect in his generation. Read.
And Noah walked with the Most High. And Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
So Noah begot 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, which cannot be denied. So these are where the nations of the earth splinter off after the flood. So you have the descendants of Shem, you have the descendants of Ham, and the descendants of Japheth, which prophecies are associated with. Okay, go ahead.
The earth also was corrupted before the Most High, and the earth was filled with violence. The Most High looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth.
Go ahead. Now we're going to get the reason why it was so violent. So it was violent in the earth, and all that those beings wanted to do was to destroy mankind. But why? Okay, well, here is the understanding of it. Now we're in the book of Enoch, chapter 15 and verse 8, right? Read.
And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh.
So now the giants who are produced from the spirit and flesh, so they're half angel, half flesh, right? This is what you would call within Greek mythology the Titans or the gods, right? Come on.
1 minute, sir. I had the wrong chapter. Okay. Let's see. Be called evil spirits upon the earth.
Start that over again, verse 8.
Okay. And now the giants who are produced from the spirits and flesh.
Come on.
Shall be called evil spirits upon the earth.
Read.
And on the earth shall their dwelling.
So you have to understand this. So this is why they'll tell you, don't read the book of Enoch. Don't deal with this. Don't deal with that. Because if you don't read the book of Enoch, you wouldn't know the primal origin of what we call evil spirits. So it's just like when you see, like all these movies, and we break it down all the time and say it, but they're like, you got to go to the depths of hell. But earth, they were created, and earth is their dwelling. So you have to understand, until the judgment, they're here wreaking havoc on the earth, going from vessel to vessel to vessel to vessel, similar to how you see in that movie Fallen with Denzel Washington. They pass from person to person to person. Okay? Now, you can see this in real time. Okay? You just like, you might see somebody with a cold. Okay, that's a spirit. Sickness is a spirit. Okay, you're okay. Okay, as long as, you stay in the right frame of mind, you stay in the spirit of the Most High, everything, and you keep your distance. And then the next thing you know, hot you, all up in the air. Next thing you know, you're like, okay, I feel something. What is that? Okay, well, that's that spirit entering in. It's passing from one person to the next. And you know what's funny? Whenever that person that you see that sneezed on you, you miraculously see them get better. It's like you go through a week of misery after that, but they recover. You like, wait, hold up. I just seen you. You were sneezing. You're like, oh, yeah, I'm coming out of this thing. Yeah, because you passed it to me. Okay? But see, even small things like that, we'll look at that as a natural occurrence and not really analyze what we're seeing. It's just small things like that within the spirit world that we're not taking heed to and looking at and saying, okay, what did I just experience? Right? Come on.
Enoch 15:9. Evil spirits have receded from their bodies because they are born from men.
Because they are born from men.
And from the holy watchers in their beginning and primal origin.
So this is their beginning and primal origin. This is the beginning and origin of evil spirits because they were half angel and half flesh. Right? What verse you at?
The middle of 15.
Come on.
Chapter 9.
Right. Verse
They
9.
shall be evil spirits on earth, and evil spirits shall they be called.
Come on.
As the spirits of heaven, in heaven shall be their dwelling.
Read.
But as for the spirits of the earth, which were born upon the earth, on the earth shall be their dwelling.
So you understand that. So those angels that were in heaven, that's their dominion. But the spirits that were born on the earth, earth shall be their dwelling. So because they were born on earth, okay, this is their dwelling. Okay, that's why you have evil spirits today. Okay, read.
And the spirits of the giants afflict.
They do what?
Afflict.
So the spirits of the giant afflict. And notice that that's bold within the lesson. The reason why that's bold is because that's one of their primary functions, to afflict. Okay, so if there's any type of affliction or problem or strife or issue or things of that, you know that the evil spirit's right there in the midst. They afflict. What else do they do?
Oppress.
They oppress. So oppression is a spirit. Poverty is a spirit. Okay? To be oppressed is, so even when you look at the slavery or captivity itself, it was a spirit. We fell from the Most High, so we were able to be enslaved, and that spirit of oppression came over us. Okay, this is how you know evil spirits were in the midst. But if you don't know the primal origin and function, you really don't know where they come from or why things happen. This is why when people ask, well, why did this happen or why did that happen? All you have to do is go into the ancient records and find out what these spirits' primal function is. Right? Come on.
Destroy.
They destroy. So anytime it's some type of destruction, you build up, you know, something's nice, or you got something, and then next thing you know, destruction comes. You know that there was a spirit within the midst. Okay, like I'm building, I'm trying to do the best I know how, and here comes the boom. You know there's a demon or a spirit within the midst. Read.
Attack.
They attack. Okay, so spirits will be on somebody to give them the spirit to attack somebody, to lash out. Because listen, everybody have emotions. You have emotions. I have emotions. But like the scripture says, you could be angry, but sin not. So you know when you're taken over by a spirit, when that anger, that emotion you have make you want to attack. Okay? Read.
Do battle and work destruction on the earth.
They do battle and they work destruction on the earth. This is where wars come from. Come on.
And cause trouble. They take no food.
And they cause trouble. So sometimes even when you see the little mischievous stuff, okay, those annoying things that just cause trouble and mischief, and it's like, man, you know how somebody say, you know, our grandmothers, our foremothers and fathers would say this, you know, to us all the time. They'd be like, you know what? It's always something. It is always something, because these spirits is on their job. So you know when something come up, it's a spirit operating there, working within the midst. See, this here helps you discern spirits. And we talked about that. I had a discussion with the brethren outside in the hallway, talking about our senses. This helps you with your vision, with spiritually being able to discern what you're seeing in real time. We should be able to come outside of ourselves sometimes, analyze a situation, and be like, okay, I can see the spirit in operation here. And when we see that's what really should give us the spirit of calm. Because when you see that, you should be able to identify it and know that I don't want no parts of that. Okay? This is the vision that the scriptures help you to develop, right? That's why when this scripture asks us, are we ready to cast out serpents? Are we ready to engage the unseen? We have to understand the characteristics and know how they work, right? Come on.
But nevertheless, hunger and thirst and cause offenses.
But nevertheless, they hunger and thirst and cause offenses. That might be one of the ways that evil spirits enter into your vessel. When you're insatiable. When you realize that, look, my normal appetite isn't where it is, and I'm not pregnant. What's going on with me? You know, why is it that I got all the munchies. I ain't even got the midnight munchies. I got all the munchies. Well, these spirits, remember, the giants and the spirits that proceeded from them, they were insatiable. They ate all acquisition of men, then turned around and started eating men. So their nature is the insatiableness. When you find out and you see yourself within that spirit of insatiableness, like you never get enough of something, understand that that's a good time that you might want to check yourself and afflict that flesh, because it's a characteristic that a spirit have come on. And then it says they cause offenses. Okay? Understand, we're supposed to have the spirit of meekness and temperance. When an evil spirit's in the midst, somebody's always getting offended. Getting offended about this. Getting offended about that. You know how many scriptures tell you the righteous would never be offended? They listen. Because at the end of the day, those that are righteous under the spirit of the Most High really know what the plight is. Okay? It's like when you know something that somebody else don't know. Just say when, we were growing up and we was in the schoolyard or something, and you know that somebody's trying to pick a fight with you, but you could beat them. A lot of times you ain't even want to take that fight because it wasn't a win. Like, nah, man, I ain't gonna fight him. Like, for what? If I fight him, I'm gonna trash him. And then, everybody else going to tell me, like, yo, I picked on somebody that I could have beat. That's corny. Well, see, this is what it is. You have to understand these peons and evil spirits, Christ could trash them. And the spirit in us is greater than them. So we don't have to react when they try to get and evoke an emotion out of us, because we should know what the plight is. That at the end of all this, you're getting judged. Okay? I'm not giving in to you. But go ahead.
And these spirits shall rise up against the children of men and against the women.
Why?
Because they have proceeded from them.
So notice, that's why they battle against us. Because if they came from us, okay, they came from us and they have a judgment that's associated. So now they're like, look, all right, well, now that I came from these people, I'm on this earth, and I have a judgment, I'm going to take out as many of them as possible. Okay? This is what these evil spirits are there to do. To take out as many souls as possible. Right? Now, we're in Enoch chapter 16 and verse 1. Right? Read.
From the days of the slaughter and destruction of the death of the giants,
Read.
from the souls of whose flesh and spirits have gone forth, shall destroy without incurring judgment. Thus shall they destroy until the day of the consumption.
See that right there? That's a lot to be said. Right there, that scripture there. So it says here, it says, from the days of the slaughter and destruction and death of the giants, from the souls of whose flesh and spirits have gone forth, meaning once the Nephilim were destroyed, okay, the flood happened, and those that was left or whatever and all that, and even after that, when our foreparents fought the giants and conquered giants, those spirits that proceeded out of them, it says, shall destroy without incurring judgment. Now y'all know when judgment comes, a spirit goes into habitation. Meaning it's already going to where it needs to go, or bound up, or imprisoned. Right? It says they shall destroy unto the day of the consummation. That means until the judgment of time. Until time is reconciled. So these evil spirits will be operating on earth until Christ's return. That's why, okay, they getting more desperate as the day goes. Okay? The lust is increasing. The anger is increasing. The drug usage is increasing. The saturation of it being on television is increasing. Okay, now in this day and time, listen, you walk down the street, you don't know. You don't know what you're running into. You know, and I was just talking to a Muslim sister. She was talking about, you know, she's like, yeah, she was like, yeah, we thinking about opening up our own business too. I got somebody got a CDL, you know, she got a CDL. I need to stop saying that. I mean, he. I'm like, excuse me? It's like, oh, yeah. You know, she's transgender and her girlfriend's my friend. I'm like, wait, what? Explain this to me. What's going on here? But this is the world that we live in. Where now everything, the lines are just, we're going back to those days of Noah. We're going back to the days of Enoch. Okay, where all types of inordinate things are operating within the earth. But go ahead, continue to read.
The great judgment in which the age shall be consummated over the watchers, and godless, yea, shall be wholly consummated.
Exactly. Read.
And now as the watchers who have sent thee to intercede for them, which have been aforetime in heaven,
read.
Say to them, you have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not yet been revealed to you.
Now, check that out. And now, as to the watchers who have sent thee to intercede, because if you read the book of Enoch, on Enoch's ascension and him going through the realms, they said, Enoch, can you pray for me? Can you give us an opportunity to get out of our predicament? Okay, our judgment that's to come. All right, and he's sent to intercede for them. But it tells them, it says, listen, who have been aforetime, speaking of the fallen angels. It says, say to them, you have been in heaven, but all the mysteries had not been revealed unto you. So that's a lesson in itself. Okay, to let you know, the angels' rank and all that. But some of the mysteries, they weren't revealed unto them. So they didn't know anything outside of what their functions were, which they were supposed to have carried out and done. Read.
And you knew worthless ones, and these in the hardness of your hearts you have made known to the women.
You have made known to women. Read.
And though these mysteries, women and men work much evil on earth.
So because of our own sin, which caused us to be compromised with angels, our offspring were made into a new creation, a perversity, which now hunts us until this day and continues to help destroy us. Our own selfish desires have destroyed this world, and a plague of demons, which operate behind the scenes in our lives, are really ours to combat. They never get tired, just like our addictions, because they are there helping to fuel our addictions and remain charged up through our active participation in sin. How did they destroy? That's the question. So notice that these spirits, they never stop. Just like when you're dealing with a vice that you have, or something that you've quote unquote said you overcame when you took your baptism. They're always there. Okay? Those vices are there to and the more that sin is involved, the more that they minister to one another. And those vices start to come back, and those bad habits start to come back. Now I took the baptism. I'm filled with the Holy Spirit. I feel so good. Everything's, I'm studying, I'm researching, I'm on point. But then how soon do we not realize that this flesh and the spirit are contrary? And the minute I get out the water, now the things that I feel like, okay, yes, you confessed them and they were forgiven. But understand that spirit, it wants to come back to that vessel. So it's never going away. Everywhere you turn, whatever you were suffering from, boom, it's in front of your face. And then even more, because you've pledged your life to the Most High. Okay? It was like, look, if think about certain things. People, overcame like a spirit. It's like they was dealing with weed within the world, and now all of a sudden it's becoming legal in different states, and now it's like, okay, that's like rocket fuel to somebody that struggled with that. Like, see, the world says it's not wrong, so it can't be that bad. Was the same thing even with like profanity and foul language. Like when I was growing up, watching television, these ratings weren't what they are today. There wasn't no NC-17 or mature audiences or this or that. It was just what was sanctioned and the FCC would allow on television or not, without being on pay-per-view or cable television, which you pay for content. Well, what was on public television, was pretty much, for the most part, wholesome television, which was actually showing examples of families and so on and so forth. Well, now guess what? those lines are so cross. You could watch a normal television show and see and hear profanity. Listen, I click on the television. I'm like, when did this stop? When did this start? And they're allowed to say that word on network TV and that word not even on prime time. I'm like, when did this happen? But see, what that's doing is that's dumbing down the masses. Because now people are looking and they're like, well, it's on network TV. So if it's on network TV, it's not that bad. I'm hearing these words everywhere. I'm hearing these words when I click on the TV. I'm hearing these words in my neighborhood. I'm hearing this. But listen, it doesn't make it right. So as the time is going, this world is progressively getting more wicked. And the vices and the accessibility of being wicked is everywhere, where it was far and in between before. So we can now get to it quicker. Okay? Read. So now we in the book of Jubilees, chapter 10, verse 1, right?
And in the third week of this Jubilee, the unclean demons began to lead astray the children of the sons of Noah.
Of Noah. So now we're dealing with the sons of Noah, which we just dealt with in Genesis. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Right? Come on.
And to make an heir and destroy them. And the sons of Noah came to Noah their father, and they told him concerning the demons which were leading astray, and blinding and slaying his sons. And he prayed before the Most High.
And now they're inquiring to Noah their father, like, listen, it's not just dealing with us, but our sons too. Our families. Okay, now keep in mind, they had just seen a righteous situation play out. They came from the flood. They was delivered. They got to see the works and the miracles of the Most High. And bringing one family, he worked with a family. From this side of the flood to that side. And this was another, conversation we were having outside. Most of the issues that you see that really reside within Israel in the body of Christ and things like that stem from family issues. Okay? It'd be like, oh, I got a doctrinal difference or this or that. A lot of times even the source of that is something family rooted. Okay? Like a brother or sister may be arguing with his wife about infidelity and have an issue within their own four walls. And then that gets spilled out amongst the church. And then now they're coming out the doctrine of, having one wife. But you never really associate personal issues with the issues that come out later on. But that's what you seen in the garden. The attack was on a family, on breaking down the structure between Adam and Eve. And through that came iniquity. Okay? So a lot of it, you got to understand, the attack is really at home. Okay? So this is what Noah's sons is dealing with. They like, look, our family's getting tore up by these demons. My sons, man, we taught them the right way, but hey, they going some other way. Read.
Jubilee 10:3. And he prayed before the Most High his power and said, the Most High are the spirits of all flesh, who has shown mercy unto me, and has saved me and my sons from the waters of the flood, and has not caused me to perish as thou didst the sons of perdition. For thy grace has been great towards me. The great has been thy mercy to my soul.
Come on.
Let thy grace be lifted up upon my sons, and let not wicked spirits rule over them, lest they should destroy them from the earth.
Read.
But do thou bless me and my sons, that we may increase and multiply and replenish the earth. And thou knowest how thy watchers, the father of these spirits, acted in my day. And for these spirits which are living, imprison them.
Now you see how Jubilees is right in harmony. So it show you, it says, listen, and these watchers, which are the fathers of those spirits. So when you're seeing Noah, he had an understanding of the primal origin of the demons. Okay, so he knew where they came from, and he understood their function. So praying to the Most High, he's like, listen, I know these demons that are here, okay, can you bind them up as you bound up their fathers? Okay, read.
And hold them fast in a place of condemnation, and let them not bring destruction on the sons of thy servant. My power, for these are magnificent.
They're malignant. Meaning they go deep. They're like a cancer. They're malignant. Okay? They're like a tumor. Okay? These is what happened. Once these spirits start to take root, it's hard to shake them. Okay? Us as a community, like some of the curses that we suffer from Deuteronomy, like when we grow up in a fatherless environment, especially women, and they grow up with daddy issues. And then they grow up and now, it's hard to trust in relationships and they act a certain way. Those roots are malignant. And they're hard to break. Well, it's vice versa with the men. When they grow up without fathers. And now when a grown man come within the spirit of the Most High and they go to check them, they react like children. They lash out. They get upset because those roots are malignant. You can't talk to me that way. You disrespected my manhood. Well, that's a malignant spirit. That's something that was deep rooted from way back when that somebody haven't been delivered from. So when this scripture tell you, yes, they're malignant, that's what he prayed for, because he said, if these spirits are able to operate, I know how they work. Once they attach, they attach. Can you bind these things up? Because the longer they're out, the more people are going to be susceptible to fall into them. Come on.
And created in order to destroy. And let them not rule over the spirits of the living. For thou alone canst exercise dominion over them.
Read.
And let them not have power over the sons of the righteous from henceforth and forevermore. The Most High our power, blade.
Go to verse 9.
Okay. And he said, let the 10th part of them remain before him.
So let the 10th part of these spirits remain before him. Meaning, okay, I'll oblige you. Okay, 90% of these spirits, okay, I'll bind them up. But let a 10th part remain on the earth to operate. Go ahead.
And let 9 parts descend into the place of condemnation.
Exactly. Read.
And one of us he commanded that we should teach Noah all their medicines.
All their what?
All their medicines.
Because sorceries come with them. See, all the things that you seeing within the earth, the potions, the concoctions, the medicines, the side effects, the this and that came with the fallen angels. The world as we know it has always been a spiritual battle. Whether we recognize it or not. Read.
And one of us he commanded that we should teach Noah all their medicines, for he knew that they would not walk in uprightness, nor strive in righteousness. And we did according to all his words. All the malignant evil ones were bound in the place of condemnation, and a 10th part of them were left, that they might be subject before Satan on the earth. And we explained to Noah all the medicines of the diseases, together with their seduction, how he might heal them with herbs of the earth.
Now, see, that's what Noah was shown versus what they had. So remember, when we're reading Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, and it tells you there's nothing new under the sun, the battle between the pharmaceutical industry and herbal healing has always been present. Since the days of Noah, since the days going back, it's always been an alternative with medicines and potions and this thing. That came in with the fallen angels. Okay? There's not one pharmaceutical medicine that's out that doesn't give you a demonic adverse reaction. Okay? I'll give you an example. So, a sister be like, all right, well, I don't know how to stop having these kids. And they don't realize that all children come from the Most High. Because I'm going to be a witness to that. Because, listen, it was 10 years, really, or 7 years in between my children. Some people are fruitful, as the scriptures say. Pop them out, pop them out, pop them out. Then some people try. And see, you don't really understand how much the Most High is in control until you have somebody that's trying to have a child and can. And see, we as elders, we hear that. Be like, elder, I'm trying. I'm doing everything in my power to, and it's not coming. It's not happening. There's no children. That's when you realize it's a blessing that come from the Most High. We feel like we in control. No. Those spirits, talk about it, she testified. See? And she didn't heard a word. She said, I know it. I just came from there. But those spirits that were made within the beginning of the creation, it's the Most High that let them loose. Okay, similar to how we all came, how Christ came, so on and so forth. But to finish that thought, sisters would take it in their hands and be like, you know what? I need that shot. Or I need that implantable or that wearable. All that's going to do is fuel sin. Because now you feel like you got a false sense of, I can do what I want to do and not get pregnant. 1. 2, that thing give you suicidal thoughts. Depression. There's a demon attached with it. Now you have all types of mental instability because you chose to deal with something that's outside of what the Most High have. Okay, guess what? Chastity is good. That never gets old. And then even when you're married, that's when you realize, it's funny because it's the ones that really have the babies that they don't expect are the ones that are unchaste. And then it's like the ones that are married, it's far and in between. It's like, what happened? I'm married now. What's going on here? But see, this is when we realize that there's something outside of us that's in control more than what we can actually see. Okay. Read.
And Noah wrote down all things in a book, as we instructed him concerning every kind of medicine.
Every kind of medicine. Read.
Thus the evil spirits were precluded from hurting the sons of Noah.
So Noah, as a righteous man, prayed for the deliverance of man from the attacks that they were under from these demonic spirits. He prayed that the demons would no longer rule over the sons of men. It is our own actions in the earth that allow these demons to rule over us and continue to be plagued with all manners of diseases. We must take back our authority instead of giving it all over to this perverse creation. Let's get the book of John, chapter 8 and verse 31.
Then said Yeshua to those Jews which believed on him.
So those Jews which believed on him, to show you that not all Jews at that time believed on him. And that was another discussion we had this morning, dealing with the fact that Christ had his own doctrine that came from the Father. That was the true doctrine that came in the earth, that was passed down from Christ to the disciples. Guess what? Everybody that was on earth at the time was in agreement with that. Okay? Just like people that are in agreement now with Christ's doctrine today. Read.
If you continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It shall make you free. Come on.
They answered him, we be Abraham's seed.
Now, here goes the cop-out. So they answered him and said, well, look, we're Jews by blood. Shouldn't that just be an automatic pass into the kingdom of heaven? We're Abraham's seed. Read.
And were never in bondage to any man. Who sayest thou, ye shall be made free? Yeshua answered them, verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin.
So he's saying, listen, okay, you saying you Abraham's seed and you got the heirs according to the promise, and they're like, well, Christ, you talk about being in bondage. What's bondage? He's like, look, anytime that there's something outside of you that have you act in a certain type of way, that's uncommonly, that's unseemingly, you're a servant of that. That's being a servant to sin. You're in bonds. You're behind bars without being behind bars. Because you can't get out of your vices. Your vices have you captive. Okay, I can't even live my life because everywhere I go, there's a temptation that I keep falling to. I can't go here. I can't go there. If I go here, oh Lord. So Christ called it being under captivity. Read.
John 8:35. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth ever. If the Son therefore shall make you free.
If the Son shall make you free, in otherwise, if you find Christ and you really follow him, and you start to follow his ways, and these things that used to hold you back don't hold you back anymore because you're following Christ fervently. If Christ make you free, read.
Ye shall be free indeed.
Surely. That's if you're properly following Christ. If you're not following Christ, and you're giving in, and you're under the compromise, and you're dealing with this and you're dealing with that, of course you're under bonds. You'll never be free. Because there's always something that's holding you back. These girls, these women are too beautiful. There's too many men in the earth. There's too much alcohol. It's too much partying. Well, that vice is holding you back from reaching your full potential. But if you follow Christ, those things, they seem to not be as important anymore. They seem to dwindle. I don't got to be there no more. I don't got to do this no more. You know why? Because not because because listen, surely this flesh enjoys it. But guess what? I'm too busy doing the work. I'm too busy just following my Father and trying to live life the right way. It's like, you know, it's amazing, brothers and sisters, how much time when you come into the truth that we really start to realize that we just idly gave up because we was in the world. Like now, like for me, one of the practices, like, you know, when you're in the world, you normally do, you come home, first thing you do, cut on the television, clicker, you know, and sit in front of it for maybe hours. But it's like now, I can't even tell you a TV series that I keep up on. I can't even tell you, like if you was to ask me now, what's Fox's evening lineup? I don't know. What's NBC's week? I don't know. What new series came on HBO? I don't know. Stuff starts to become less and less important to you. What becomes important is the work of the kingdom and following the Most High. That stuff you realize, when you start to realize and count how many hours you spent before you really came into the truth, watching, loving hip hop and doing all this and keeping up on this, you're like, man, I used to give 10, 15, 16, 18 hours, whatever, a week, 30, whatever, how many hours just sitting in front of this box being programmed. And then we wonder why we jacked up. Because we're looking at drama. And that TV, that all that stuff is programming us. It's ministering spirits. What we're taking in, we're seeing that. So you're looking at people that are lustful, that are promiscuous, that are that. You don't think that you can't assume that your spirit's strong enough to just sit there in the midst of that and take in all that. And that's not going to have an adverse effect. You seeing everything that you want, that your flesh want to do on a day-to-day basis. You like, yo, and then we'll look at it like, man, they tripping. No. Because eventually you're going to go into a weak moment where you're far away from the Most High, and those things are going to play back into your mind. And then you're going to be like, you know what? Yeah, let me just indulge. And then you indulge until you overindulge. Okay? This is why I tell you that we have to be ye separate. But go ahead.
John 8:37. I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me.
But listen, I know y'all are Israelites by blood, but y'all seek to kill me. Read.
Because my word have no place in you. I speak that which I have seen, which with my Father, and ye do that which ye have seen with your father.
Exactly. So he said, look, I know you by your fruits. You say you Abraham's seed, but you seek to kill me. And I'm seeking to do the will of my Father. And guess what? Because you want to kill me without a reason, you're seeking to do the will of your Father. Listen, brothers and sisters, we're going to realize at the end, not all Israel's Israel. You understand? We can't just be so trusting because we see a melanated people. That's why the Bible gives you the breakdown. I know them by their fruits. I know them by their fruits. Because Christ could quantify that in this situation. Y'all seek to kill me. I see who your father is. Okay? It was as simple as that. We're not friends because you fringe down and you feel like you reading the Torah and this and that. The Torah, whatever form of the law that you feel like you got, that have led you and showed you that you have no understanding of it. But whatever you feel like you believe in have led you to think that it was righteous to kill an innocent man. Okay? To show you that, look, the doctrine of Christ is a narrow path all to itself. Okay, and the more and more I research, I realize that daily. There's so many doctrines that want to be counterfeits to the doctrine of Christ. But guess what? It's so easily distinguished and know what's false and what's not and what's right. It's clear. Read.
They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father.
Abraham is our father. So yet again, they went back to the cultural aspect. They knew who they were. Well, we Israel. Kwam Yashra'Allah. Abraham's our father. They knew who they were. To show you that that is so bare bones to the understanding of Christ's doctrine. That's baby steps. Okay, we know who we are. Great. Now that you know what you are, what's the next step? Come on.
Yeshua saith unto them, If ye were Abraham's children,
if you was Abraham's children like you say you are,
ye would do the works of Abraham.
You would do the works of Abraham. You would embody the love and the faith that Abraham had. Read.
But now you seek to kill me.
But you trying to kill me. Read.
A man that hath told you the truth, which I have heard of the Most High. This did not Abraham.
Exactly. So I heard it from my father. Okay, I didn't hear it from Abraham. You claiming that you are a descendant of Abraham, but understand who Abraham was serving. Now, there was some insight what I was breaking down with the brethren outside in the hallway. See, people are quick to give credit to fleshly things. Similar to when you read about, when you look in the Bible, it says, when you look at the Pharisees, it always, for a lot of instances, say the Pharisees and the scribes. Why? Because everywhere the Pharisees went, they was writing an oral law, which now was the precursor to the Talmud and the Mishnah, which was the oral law. So they was taking the law and just rewriting it in their own phrases, like putting in, oh, well, you can't eat with unwashed hands. You can't do that. And this is why they said, if Christ stay alive, then we're going to lose all of our power and all of our money that's coming from the people that are giving it, because the power came from the laws that they were writing. So that's where the power came, the false doctrine that they had. So they had to make something separate. Why? Because if they followed the law the way that it was written, the way that Christ fulfilled it, then all glory and honor would have went to the Most High. And they wouldn't have had the power. But being that they had their own laws written and their own things, people had to go to them for their specific following of what should have belonged to the Most High. So why do you transgress the commandments of the elders? As they ask Christ all the time. Why did the disciples do it this way? They're like, look, well, you're transgressing the laws of God. You got your own laws. You got your own understanding. They had their own doctrine and their own following. So these brothers are trying to make a similar argument. Well, we're Abraham. Okay? He's like, listen, what was revealed to me was from my father. And understand, Abraham followed my father. Read it.
John 8:41. Ye do the deeds of your father.
But you do the deeds of your father. Read.
Then said they to him, We be not born of fornication. We have one Father, even the Most High.
Wait, hold up now. Now they trying to take shots. You see that? So when the truth come and the truth cut, well, the first thing that come is accusations. Y'all see the low blow that came in? So it says, listen, you say you are the Most High, that's fine. Well, we're not born of fornication. We know who our daddies are. See, See, and I don't understand why all the time this gospel was taught that these things weren't taught in the churches. Like, I grew up with the mindset that everything that was in the Bible, every scenario and everybody was holy. Not realizing that it was only then and now a few. It was a remnant then. Christ and the disciples following the narrow path. Those that was following the disciples' doctrine, following the narrow path. And a lot of them had to give their lives to follow the narrow path. But the majority of people you're reading about in Scripture, they were opposed to the narrow path. Okay? Go ahead.
Yeshua said unto them, if God were your father.
If the Most High was your father, now you say you know your fathers and you got the Most High. If the Most High was your father, read.
Ye would love me.
You would love me, being that I'm your brethren.
For I proceeded forth and came from the Most High. Neither can I of myself, but he sent me.
Exactly. So I wouldn't have gotten this knowledge and this understanding unless the Most High sent me. That was another topic we was talking about outside.
John 8.
Just breaking it down, because listen, one of the biggest things is that this is what really, I think, one of the greatest tests for Israelites today is obedience. Because if you look at the people that the Most High put in your pathway to be your guidances, your elders, your this or that, the one thing people don't want to diminish, the one thing they automatically want to diminish is that the Most High sent them. Like, oh no, that's a brother. That's a man, anybody. The Most High could you. That was the argument within the Exodus. That was the argument that you have here. Christ was on the earth, and they was debating whether Christ was sent from the Most High. All they could see and think they could magnify is all the faults that they felt they knew that they knew. Instead of falling in line and understanding what they were experiencing in real time. Now check that out. Read.
Why do you not understand my speech, even because ye cannot hear my word? Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do.
Exactly. So you're going to do what you want to do anyway. So it really doesn't matter. I'm breaking it down to you, but you're not listening. You're going to do what you want to do anyway. Read.
He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him.
So he's like, look, your father, the devil, was a murderer from the beginning. That's all he was. That's all he wanted to do. He was set out for the destruction, for the breaking down of the brethren. And because that's your father, that's what you'll do. Read.
When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own.
Exactly, because he brought that into the earth in outside of the heavenly realm himself. When he speak of a lie, he speak of his own. Read.
For he is a liar and the father of it.
So we must understand that if we continue in sin, we are servants to the spirits that Satan and the other rebellious angels brought forth in the earth. He was their father, and we in turn became the children of the devil, being raised by his children in sin. This means that we are complicit in our own destruction and are really spokespeoples for Satan's agenda. That's why most people don't want to stand up for the truth. They compromise with sin and many hurtful lusts. We are also compromised. It says, are we in secret like the children of the devil? Let's look at the problem. One of many, which may be an indicator of whether we struggle in secret or in need of some self-examination, right? So we're going to deal with something we dealt with before. We had a whole lesson on it. But we're going to go back to sleep paralysis. Okay? Let's deal with it from the Wikipedia here. So sleep paralysis is when during awakening or falling asleep, one is aware but unable to move. During an episode, one may hear, feel, or see things that are not there. It often results in fear. Episodes generally last less than a couple of minutes. It may occur as a single episode or be reoccurring. The condition may occur in those who are otherwise healthy, those with narcolepsy, or may run in families as a result of specific genetic changes. The condition can be triggered by sleep deprivation, psychological stress, or abnormal sleep cycles. The underlying mechanism is believed to involve the dysfunction in REM sleep. The diagnosis is based on a person's description. Other conditions that can be present similarly include narcolepsy, atonic seizures, and hypokalemic periodic paralysis. So we see that there's a diagnosis, and notice it said it's based on somebody's description. So you go to a doctor and you say, well, look, I couldn't move. You know, I was waking up and I seen all types of stuff around me, but I couldn't move. Sometimes people just suffer paralysis, period. When they wake up in the morning, their body just don't work. And they feel heavy and they can't get up. And they just like, I just can't get out the bed. Okay, that's a spirit. Okay? Says treatment options for sleep paralysis have been poorly studied. People should generally be reassured that the condition is common and not serious. Is common and not serious. Okay. Other efforts that may be tried include sleep hygiene, cognitive behavioral therapy, and antidepressants, i.e. sorcery or medication. Between 8 and 50% of people experience sleep paralysis at some time. So their studies show that 50%, that means 1 out of every 2 of us, based on their study, at some point in their life have experienced sleep paralysis. That shows you that demonic possession is on an all-time high. Okay. About 5% of people have regular episodes. Males and females are affected equally. Sleep paralysis has been described throughout history. It is believed to have played a role in the creation of stories about alien abduction and paranormal events. So this is a big problem that you may go through in secret, yet no one seems to have a real solution. The reason is because it's not an internal thing that can be cured with just a pill, although the medical world puts out information like as if it's something that we should be comfortable with. Notice, it never mentions the other theory that it may be demonic. That's never the remedy of sleep paralysis is that it's never dealt with within the spirit world. It's always dealt with based on their understanding in the pharmaceutical world. Okay? Aliens are more readily discussed than our own demons, which we must get rid of. What should we really do if these things are happening? So if you're experiencing sleep paralysis or you feel like, okay, my body's not responding to me like it should. I feel sluggish. I feel like I can't get up. I feel like, I'm just not responding like I should. What do you do? Okay, first, you have to assess the situation. Take a second with the unbiased view and ask yourself, are there any things in your life that you covet after? Are there things that are outside of me that I'm not content with, that the Most High have given me, that I just want, I want more. I want this. I want that. Things I shouldn't have. Are you continuing to lust and allowing your mind to drift into sinful thoughts without shutting them down? That's a good question. Is your mind just wandering? Okay. All the hypotheticals we play. What if this? What if that? Most of the time when people get in trouble, it's because that lust was played out. Or that imagination or thought had ran all the way to where it shouldn't have gone. Instead of doing like it said, shutting it down. It didn't, listen, you're always going to be under attack. You're always going to be under attack. So it's not like these thoughts are not going to come. But the thing is, when they do come, are you shutting them down? Are you doing as the scriptures say, casting down every imagination? Okay. Are you leaving the door open to demons through unhealthy spiritual habits like adult films or so-called recreational drugs? Oh, I just drink on, on a Wednesday, Monday, and Tuesday, just to go to sleep. I got to smoke to calm me down. Glaucoma runs in my family. It's preventative maintenance. Those are excuses that open you up for demonic possession. Those things, listen, when we're stressed and we're to the point of frustration, that's when we must cleave to the Most High, not the vices. Because guess what? The vices will give you an out temporarily. And then when you go and assess the situation, now you feel worse than you did, which give you a double depression. Like, I failed. I fell short. I gave in to. Okay? Are you comfortable with being part of an overly emotional situation that have formed a bit of need to feel that adrenaline associated with them? And listen, that can branch into so many examples. People make a lot of decisions based off emotion and not off of sound judgment and sound decisions. I'm angry, so therefore I was pushed into this. I'm depressed, therefore I was pushed into this. I'm lonely, therefore I was pushed into this. Those are not good decisions. Those are not good reasons to make decisions. I was under duress, so I made this decision. There's no excuses for those things. Because we should have took the time to assess what the outcome was of our actions. See, this is the thing that we don't understand, brothers and sisters. Everything you do yield a fruit. When the scripture tell you you reap what you sow, you reap what you sow. It may not come now, but eventually it'll come. And it'll come in the most inconvenient time. Okay? Why? Because right now when you're youthful and you got your energy and your strength, you're sinning at the most inconvenient time. Because the Most High could use you now. Okay? There's a lot of people in old age that are suffering a lot of conditions and things that they dealt with based on bad decisions they made earlier. But had they made the right decisions prior, they wouldn't be suffering those things. But understand, even when going through those things, that's not a time to be depressed. That's a time to do as the scriptures say. When you go through these sufferings, to count it joy. Because listen, it's there to awaken you and to realize, okay, there is a power that's above me, that is chastising me, that loves me. And it's better I suffer in this world than to suffer the hellfire. It's like we want to get out of our issues now. You can't, no. Because the Most High didn't put them on you, you put them on you. Okay? Can you deliver me from this? Can you deliver me from that? Okay, well, what about the accountability that comes with the issues that came with us in this wicked flesh? Can you give me the power, Father, to help me restrain from me? That's a good prayer to pray. I need protection from myself. Give me the wisdom and the spirit to help me from me. Because if I give into this flesh and what it want to do, oh, I'm finished. This is where we have to realize, like, all the responsibility that come with sin entering in us falls on our shoulders. Just like the promises. The promises was given to our forefathers. We only have us to blame for losing those promises. I can't blame another nation. I can't blame this man, this circumstance, this. And it's easy for us to say it when we're talking about our forefathers. Okay, well, we lost the promise because our forefathers fell. Okay, well, what about us losing the promises because we fell? Okay, it got to start with this vessel. With looking inward first. Can't blame anybody for the conditions we're in. Okay? So if you answered yes to any of these problems, right? Then now you understand 9 times out of 10 that you have been attacked in your sleep. These demons are allowed to attack us at times to really straighten us out. But the moment we begin to stop our own wickedness, they no longer have power in our lives. There is no magic pill that stops this experience. What causes the stopping of these things is the overcoming of your carnal mind through choosing righteousness, which is found through keeping the commandments under Christ. If the Bible said to do it, then we must follow through to receive deliverance. Let's get the wisdom of Solomon. 18 and 11.
The masters and the servant were punished after one manner.
The masters and the servants were punished after one manner. What does that mean? That when the judgment happened, the fallen angels will be punished first. And then all those that follow after them will also be punished. So the fathers, the masters, and the servants will be punished one after another. Read.
And like the king, so suffered the common person. So they all together had immutable dead with one kind of death.
Come on.
Neither were the living sufficient to bury them.
Neither were the living sufficient to bury them. Read.
For in one moment the noblest offspring of them was destroyed.
Come on.
For where else they would not believe anything by reason of the enchantments. Upon the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledged this people to be the sons of the Most High. For while all things were in quiet silence, and that night was in the midst of her swift course,
Exactly. Come on.
thy almighty word leapeth down from heaven out of thy royal throne, and a fierce man of war into the midst of a land of destruction.
A fierce man in the midst of war. Everybody that opposed. Now, this is going back into Egypt. Passover night. For those that's following the Most High, blood is on the doorpost, protection. But for those that oppressed, came against the children of Israel, they met a fierce man that night. Smote every firstborn Egyptian, including the animals. Most people don't understand that. Everything that was a firstborn, everything was. You look around, it was death and destruction everywhere. Everywhere. Like, what in the world? And then they knew who the sons of the living power was after that night. You know what they said? Listen, they had been asking Pharaoh, let my people go. After the Most High sent Christ and he got done with them, get out and take everything you got. Take the riches, take y'all gold, take y'all silver, y'all dead, y'all love. Listen, there was so much that the Israelites left, they took the dead. They took the sepulchres. They took their foreparents. They didn't want anything. They said, man, listen, these people are not to be played with. Read.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 8 and 16. And brought thy unfringed commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death. And it touched the heaven, but it stood upon the earth.
Come on.
Then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them. Sore and terrors came upon them, overlooked for. And one throne here and another there, half did, showed in cause of his death. For the dreams that troubled them did foreshow this, lest they should perish, and not know why they were afflicted.
Come on.
Yea, the tasting of death touched the righteous also, and there was a destruction of the multitude in the wilderness.
Now, death touched the righteous too. There was a destruction in the wilderness. So here, when you're reading Wisdom of Solomon, this is a time where you see the Spirit of the Most High passing judgment in different periods in time. So there was a destruction also in the wilderness. Go ahead.
But the wrath endured not long.
Not long.
For then the blameless man made haste and stood forth to define them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, even prayer, and perpetration of incense, set himself against the wrath, and so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant.
Right, because remember when the plague of Egypt came and they was getting slaughtered by, the masses. What happened? Moses went out, sent burnt offering, and stopped that plague. And the people that were there lived. The rest of the people lived. And then guess what? It tell you at that time, it was known who the servant of the Most High was. But guess what? Shortly after that, they forgot. They forgot. They got to see destruction in the Most High sending his servant. And then the minute that they got away from that and got comfortable, they went right back to their ways. After they knew who the Most High was dealing with. I just had a discussion with this young man last week. He's talking about, Moses and Miriam. And them just talking ill about the servant of the Most High. And you know what their thing was, what they said? You married that Egyptian woman. Right? Just talking greasy about the servant of the Most High. And you know what their thing they said was? They said, listen, well, the Most High speaks to us too. You know what the Most High did? He said, listen, don't say nothing about my servant. And they were smote with an infirmity real quick. And then they had to realize who the Most High was dealing with at that point. Go ahead.
So he overcame the destroyer, not with the strength of body, nor force of arms.
Exactly. So he overcame the destroyer, not with the strength of body or arms. Come on.
But with a word subdued he him that punished, alleging the oaths and covenants made with the fathers. For when the dead were now fallen down by heaps, one upon another, standing between, he stayed the wrath and departed the way to the living.
And parted the way to the living. So you know what? Here's the thing. You had many people just like Christ that in real time was laboring with Moses that didn't believe that the Most High chose him. And they didn't believe that until it was heaps of bodies laying around him. Utter destruction, people falling everywhere. And then those that kind of had an inkling, they were the ones that was left. They're like, okay, yeah, let's go. Read.
For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's graven, and they majesty upon the diadem of his head.
Exactly, come on.
Unto these the destroyer gave place, and was afraid of them, for it was enough that they only tasted of the wrath.
So just like the Egyptians during the first Exodus experienced horrible visions and dreams, we receive them today as a warning of foreshadowing our own destruction to come if we don't repent. The Father promised that we would receive all the plagues of Egypt, yet the demonic attacks are seldom spoke of. There were evil spirits which were also released on the people of that time, and it took the righteous man to deliver the rest through prayer and fasting, who were found to be worthy to survive it. It also is said that the righteous even were touched by death in the wilderness. Think about it. Aaron's sons died for their wickedness, so that shows that there's no partiality with the Father. It shows you furthermore that the destroyer was afraid of the righteous. We must change. That's why I show you when nonsense come, those who the spirits fear, they'll never bring the nonsense to those who the spirits fear. The nonsense always comes to an area where they feel like is weak. That's where spirits will come and attack. Well, I'm under this possession. I'm under this. I can't shake this. But just like that, we know that, listen, historical, it shows you that those spirits fear and respect those who are righteous. Similar to how it was in the New Testament, those vagabond Jews. Okay? Paul, I know. Christ, I know. But who are you? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 27. Back to the curses.
The Most High will not smite thee with the blotch of Egypt.
The Most High will. Go ahead.
Oh, the Most High will smite thee with the blotch of Egypt.
Read.
And with the hemorrhoids, and with scab, and with the itch, thereof thou canst not be healed.
Read.
The Most High shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart.
Come on.
And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save them.
So as we read in Jubilees, it was the demons that were destroying man with the plagues, as long as the Most High would allow it. The Egyptians also, at the end of it all, went through literal darkness, yet today we're smitten, just like they were, to walk around as a byproduct of our own course in spiritual darkness. Okay. So, the reasonable demonic influence has been addressed so that we can see like diseases and so-called sleep apnea. But what about witnessing full-on possession? What about that? When we see somebody going in and out of 2 or 3 spirits. You're in a conversation and somebody's talking, and it's like you're talking to 4 or 5 different people. What about that? If you're in the midst of a situation where someone is actively possessed, there needs to be questions asked that may be uncomfortable. See, we as elders, we understand this. But when somebody's possessed, there's questions you got to ask. Okay? First question you got to ask somebody. You see them, they shaking, they convulsing, they talking about Tuesday, Wednesday. You know, this guy on the L used to just scream out, he just, Swan. Swan? You all right? We be quiet, we just be sitting down, just, oh man, just ride home. Swan. Like, oh, I. So understand when it comes to healing and casting these demons out, there are literal questions that need to be asked. Are there drugs involved? Question 1. Because we understand that it was the fallen angels that brought those so-called remedies and medicines within the earth. So is there sorcery involved? Is there drugs involved? Is there sin in other sorts within the present location that may be accessed to bring on an episode? Okay. So are there traumatic experiences? Are there positions that you put yourself in that actually bring forth episodes of whatever's going on? Okay, well, this person don't act crazy until they get to Aunt Susie's house. Okay, well, was there some type of abuse there? What happened? Why is this the place that they act out? Questions need to be asked here. Is there abuse which has transpired, which currently or previously and is that particular abuser still around? And is this so? Is that person that caused the abuse, are they still around? Are you interacting with them every day? Do you see them as you pass? Okay. Are there spiritual practices different from the doctrine of Christ, including idol worship, or some sort being used by this person? Is this person into Santa Maria or other different types of rituals? Listen, here's the issue sometimes, brothers and sisters. Sometimes Christians are into rituals too. Okay. I seen one the other day. I ain't even gonna go into it.
Sure did.
I'm like, what is that? People make some stuff up as it go, and not realizing that they're consulting with those that the afterworld, the dead, or spirits that would come in and deal with certain things, and not realize, like, okay, this is what I'm doing. And just because there's an amen at the end of it doesn't make it right. So we need to understand, are we a product and we're still under curses because of our interaction? I always tell brothers and sisters, listen, sometimes it's death by association.
Wow.
And people fail, as many times as I say that, fail to understand what I'm saying. Okay? And I don't say that to keep people separated. But if you see certain tactics and certain things that's unbecoming of the doctrine of Christ, it's not healthy to be around that spiritually. Because it's not, listen, because a lot of times when people are in that mode and they know that and acknowledge it, the person that devastates more is the person that follows. That's the person it devastates more. Okay? So we have to understand and make sure we're not under specific spells that would keep us captive. So here's just an example of things to examine in order to be able to fight back against these spirits which are present during real possession. If you understand the soldiers on a battlefield are warring against you, then you can formulate a plan of attack to overcome them. Let's look at the tried and true weapons against these demons. The book of Mark, chapter 9, verse 17. Almost done there. Come on.
And one of the multitude answered and said, Master, I have brought unto thee my son, which had a dumb spirit.
Which have a dumb spirit.
And whosoever he taketh him, he teareth him, and he foameth and gasses with his teeth.
And gnash with his teeth. So this is a brother that's just foaming and just
and pitteth away. And I spoke to thy disciples that they should cast him out, and they could not.
Wait, hold up. But the disciples couldn't cast him out. Because there was a greater understanding that they didn't even have at the time. There's a lot of times where that happens. People feel like they can be engaged in battle with some deep-rooted demons and not understand that, listen, you could be taken over. Come on. Verse 19.
And he answered him and saith, O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him unto me.
Bring him here. Come on.
And they brought him unto him. And when he saw him, straightway the spirit tear him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed foaming.
So as soon as he seen him, the spirit started acting out. So he on the ground foaming and wilding. And Christ just like, okay, go ahead.
He asked his father, How long is it ago since this came unto him?
Now notice, even Christ got a history of it. Okay? So when people make it seem like Christ was some type of magician, he wasn't. He just understood the doctrine of his father, the doctrine that his father gave him. First thing he did was question the history. He asked history. He said, how long was it since this young man been acting this way? Read.
And he said, of a child.
Of a child. He been like that since he was born. Read.
And oftentimes he have cast him into the fire and into the waters to destroy him.
To destroy him. So oftentimes he tried to burn himself. He tried to drown himself. To show you that the primary function of these evil spirits is to kill you before the time. This is where those suicidal thoughts come in. Where I want to take myself out, or I'm not worthy, or I can't make it, I can't do this. This is where they come in. Read.
But if thou canst do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Yeshua said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth.
Read.
And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Help thou my unbelief.
See? That was the prayer I told y'all to just do. He said, I believe. Heavenly Father, help me against me, what I'm deficient in. I got a little bit of faith. I believe. But if there's anything in me that's stopping me from believing in what's about to happen, take it away. See, that's the thing. We feel like, okay, I got the name of Yeshua. I got the name of Ahia. I wield all power. And then forget that, listen, you better check this flesh. Because it could be something holding you back from doing the work that need to be done. So he understood. The father was like, look, if there's something in me, hold me back from it. But I believe. Go ahead.
Yeshua said unto him, if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. And straightway the father of the child cried out and said with tears, Lord, I believe. Hope thou my unbelief. When Yeshua saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, Thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him and enter no more into him.
Spoke right to it. Go ahead. But first he understood what it was. And how long it was. And it was a deaf and dumb spirit. Go ahead.
And the spirit cried and rent him sore and came out of him, and he was as one dead, insomuch that many said, He is dead. But Yeshua took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose.
Come on.
And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, Why couldst not we cast him out? And he said unto them, This kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting.
So that means that Christ, he stayed ready. Okay. You know, there's a song I listen to and tell you, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. See, understand, if you, and this is what it's talking about by us suffering for righteousness' sake. Because there's many cheesesteaks we can down. Many good hamburgers and pasta salads and salads in general. But it takes something when you got free time to afflict your soul and get ready for the work. When it's not imposed on you. When it's not the Day of Atonement. When it's not. But to get your vessel ready to do the work of the Father. That's a lot to be said. See, Christ understood that. He was ready. So the disciples was like, how comes we couldn't cast them out? He said, listen, I prepared myself for this work. I was already ready to encounter this. Okay? So realize that it comes with preparation, and you actually living your life prepping to do the work. Okay? So if you connect both accounts in Mark and Matthew, right? Yeshua called the generation of that time perverse and faithless. If that generation was perverse, how much more do we now clean our lives up and pull off the true casting out of spirits? Casting out of demons is not something to play around with and hope that the spirits leave. It's a serious matter in which power to do so will come by the discipline in the spirit. The disciples had cast out spirits, but there are more powerful spirits which have attached themselves to a person which have not been with them, which have been with them their whole life, which we also have to contend with. Understanding this matter of how it uses a person and the nature is also key to our breakthroughs. This also proves that full disclosure must occur for a spirit to truly be cast out. You know how people ask for help and they say, well, elder, I need help. Brother, I need help. Well, you can't get help unless you're completely forthcoming. So when there's facts and things that are being held back because of you feel like it's embarrassing or I might not be looked at the same, that's stopping you from receiving a healing. Because it must be full disclosure to move forward and get that spirit completely cast out. Let's go to 2 Ezra 2 and 39. 2 and 38.
Arise up and stand. Behold the number of those that be seated in the
That be
feast.
sealed. Read.
Oh, that be sealed in the feast of the Most High.
Read.
Which are departed from the shadow of the world, and have received glorious garments of the Most High.
Read.
Take thy number, O Zion.
O what?
O Zion.
Take thy number, O Zion. Read.
And shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have filled the law of the Most High.
Read.
The number of thy children whose thou longest for is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Most High, that thy people which have been called from the beginning may be hallowed. I, Ezra, saw upon the mount Zion.
Wait, read that scripture again.
2 Ezra 2 and 42. I, Ezra, saw upon the mount Zion a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised the Most High with songs.
With songs, come on.
And in the midst of them was a young man.
A what man?
Was a young man.
An old man.
A young man.
Come on.
Of high stature.
You know what? Like all these stuff take people's excuses away.
Listen, I have to tell the class. This morning I read this when I first got up. Now this is scary. I read this to my wife, okay? The whole chapter from 2 to 48. I'm reading it again. I think the tall man was somebody special.
Well, you know who that was. It was Christ.
Yeah.
You already know. But here's the thing, right? This take away a lot of people's excuses when they be like, well, I see, that's like I got that where I was, I was doing a wedding. They like, man, you a young pastor. And I'm like, listen, I know of a pastor that's the good shepherd that's younger than me. That can't be your excuse. Because wisdom has no age. Because wisdom doesn't come from the flesh. It comes from above. Okay, a lot of times I'll look back and I'll be like, okay, where did these breakdowns come from? Because I'm not that sharp. But the Most High, He revealeth all His secrets, as the scriptures say, to His servants, the prophets. Not saying, because it's hard for us to even say scriptures like that, not saying that we're in those positions, but you understand. So here go a young man in the midst of all that's called Zion. Read.
Taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on immortal, and have confessed the name of the Most High.
The what?
The name, have confessed the name of the Most High.
Why do you think now is such profound studies and efforts to really prove the name of the Most High? Because without a shadow of a doubt, it must be proclaimed within the earth before the end come. Throughout the four corners of the earth. And that's now was being more than anything brought out. Read it.
Now are they crowned and received psalms. Then I said unto the angel, What young person is that crowdeth them, and giveth them palms in their hands?
Read.
So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of the Most High,
It's Yeshua. Come on.
whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them. They that stood so stiffly.
That stood what?
That stood so stiffly.
That stood how?
Stiffly.
Wait, hold up. It's many names.
Stiffly for the name of the Most High.
See, listen. See, the reward come for those that stand stiffly for the Most High's name, for Christ's name, and stand on it. That's non-negotiable. That's not something we going back and forth with. The Most High said it, I believe it, I proclaim it. There is no back and forth. I can prove it, I can show it. Historical. Okay, as far as, etymology, as far as language, the breakdowns, hey. But there's a crown of life that come with those that stand stiffly for the name of the Most High and Christ, in whom all power was given to cast out serpents. So stand, brothers and sisters, in this evil day and overcome your weaknesses through purity. We will cast out serpents and obtain the promise of the day which will be rewarded. Believers, believe and conquer all. A lack of faith, it says lack faith and be, it says and be conquered by all. Shalom. Listen, let me tell you something. This lesson here, powerful lesson.
Very powerful.
Because we're in the time now where we're being engaged by spirits whether we know it or not. On a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. But these lessons are designed so that we'll understand what to do when encountered with the spirit from the fallen ones. So with that said, we're going to close the lesson. Let's give all praise and honor to the Most High.